Angie. As you're aware, I hope most of you are aware, Angie has not been able to join us. She won't be able to join us for the full webinar this evening because she's convalescent. She's helping her mum this evening. So I've been asked to step in as the host, and I'm really happy to do this. So just a little bit about myself for those, because I'm not sure if I know everybody on here. Gwen, I'm not sure. Gwen, have we met before?
No.
Hello, Gwen. I'm Dion. And Yvette, I'm not sure who that is either.
Hi. Hi.
Hi, Yvette. And oh, who's that? LGK8. I don't know who that is.
I don't think anybody gave their child LGK8 name.
2017. That's a new, I don't know who that is. But anyway, welcome everybody. And we also have Miles with us. Say hello, Miles.
Hello.
Miles is going to be helping with the webinar slides. Now, for the first part of this session, Michelle's actually going to be joining us in about 40 minutes, so about 8:45. So for the first part, we're going to be entertaining you all with this question that we've got on the screen right now. I hope everyone can see that. So what one thing could you change, do or alter that would have the greatest impact on your business life? What one thing could you change, do or alter that would have the greatest impact on your business life? So Miles and I were talking about this earlier today, and because we raised the subject because I was telling him that I've got a yearly kind of mantra that I came up with just before we turned into 2019. I wanted my year to have a particular theme to it. So I thought it might be interesting to find out if anybody else thinks in the same way or has the same kind of approaches the same kind of way with their business and how they want their business to look like, or what they want their business to look like in the year that's coming. So for me, I am working on my self-development, and that for me is the one thing that I can change in order to have the best impact on my business life. Because I know that there's various areas of my personal and my self-development side that I need to work on in order to make sure that my business ticks over. So I'll just sort of throw it out there for people to have a little think about, and when you're ready, just feel free to talk and express yourselves. Does anyone want to go first?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You have your microphone on mic. You're unmuted. You wanna? They muted themselves. They're saying I've got nada to say.
Nothing.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Oh, right. Okay, great. Yeah, I was mulling over this question. I think it's a really good question. I think the first thing that springs to mind without editing is getting some work-life balance. So I've got my business, but it's not fully fledged and developed yet. So I still do contract work, and I'm finding I would love to minimize the contract work and concentrate more on the business. So the one thing that would have the greatest impact, I think, for me right now would to possibly do 2 days a week of contract work. Currently it's 4, but 2 days a week. And then I'm free flowing to kind of develop and move with the rest of Life Design Salon. Yeah, that's what comes to mind.
So what is it you do right now?
So in terms of contract work, I rehabilitate and help people commit crimes to stop. And I do that through risk assessments, reports, etc. And the Life Design Salon is a life transition specialist working with women 40 plus who are transitioning in their careers in areas of their life, and men also if they come to my services. So that's why I want to really really develop, because I've always done life transitioning work with different client groups, and I'm really keen to kind of work with women 40 plus now.
Fantastic.
So yeah, so I do training, mentoring and coaching. Yeah.
So can I just ask, are you actually in the process of doing that altering thing? So are you going, what are you doing to get to this point where you want to be?
So I have clients, and I'm working where it's consistent. So I do networking, I do training, and I've got access to various organizations, and I've got referrals. But I'm not yet at the stage where it's a fully fledged business that can pay me full-time income. So that's what I'd like to get it developed to.
Excellent. Are you working with a coach to do that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I've got accountability. Yeah.
Yeah, because that really,
So it's going in the right direction, but there's a part of me that's just kind of raring to go, and it's like, bring it on! I want to change now.
Everything in its time. Everything in its time. Gosh.
Exactly. But there's some obstacles along the way, but they're good obstacles because it's allowed me to kind of think a bit more widely and more openly, and in that I've kind of attracted a couple of people at this networking event who want to use some of my criminal justice services in a way that I've not been offered before. So it's growing. It's good.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's great to hear. And I think with obstacles, we all have obstacles. I like to call them challenges, because I think obstacles, even though you can get around them, through them, over them, you always have a learning thing after that. So that's why I call them challenges. What's the learning? What's the learning implication after that challenge has arisen? So that's how I like to look at them.
Yeah, and I think it's a great way. Thanks for reminding me.
No problem. Thank you for sharing. Would anyone else like to have a go? Do you have to unmute anybody, Miles, or can they unmute themselves?
Yes, they can unmute themselves. Yvette's unmuted. Do you want to say anything, Yvette? You're unmuted.
Just read the question again. What things would you change or alter to negate its impact? Well, I suppose I'm quite fortunate, a bit like the lady just spoke. I've joined a network because my business is kind of like the same, but I'd like it to grow. Although I've been in this industry for 10 years and it's working well, and I am fully self-employed. But obviously, long term, I'd like to see. I want to develop a team, so I'd like to step down myself and let my team do the work. And I've joined a networking group in January, and with their guidance and accountability and support, I think that's going to be my challenge, and it'll impact my life, my business, my well-being. So I'm looking forward to that. But I have found some place to actually go and I can air my problems, and it's directed to my business as well as. So that's all I can say to that particular. I'm working. I've asked for it in terms of my succession for success for 2018, but I've done my own now. Now I have to develop and grow other people who at the same time will grow, and I would develop, but stepping down, not doing the day-to-day thing, letting the team, spending time with the team and letting them earn my passive income while I'm away doing whatever I want to do.
Fantastic. Can I just ask you that?
Yes.
How easy was it for you to relax and let someone else kind of take over? So your team, you said you've got, how many do you have in your team?
Well, I've got 7 people in my team, but I'd like to get that number up to probably 100, 120.
Oh, wow.
So at the moment, I've got the plan is to recruit 30 people in the next 2 months. And so at the moment, my 2019 20 kind of goal plan is to recruit, so that I can step down. This is the plan, that I can earn from them passive income. So whatever they earn, I get some income from it. So I don't need to do the grindstone. Not that I mind doing it, but I'd like to think that I can go away and I get 3, 4, 5 grand in my bank account by my team doing, you know, what I was doing.
So what is it you do then?
I help change people's lives. I'm helping motivating people, change the way they think, the way they eat, help them with slimming, help them kind of look at their habits. So just generally looking at people, helping people to overcome their the current behaviours and things like that. Yeah, in the main. So
the reason why I was asking you that question is I was having a conversation with someone, and about the possibility of me getting a team for myself to help me. And for me, it's, at the moment, I'm feeling quite, I don't want to let go. Yeah, I like that. Do you understand what I mean? I like the help, but I don't want the help at the same time, because I just feel like I want to do it myself. But I also know that I'm going to need help doing what I do. So it's the trust. It's a trust thing, and it's also a fear thing as well. But I don't know whether that makes sense to you. Are you still there? Have you gone?
Before she goes back for a second.
Oh, I think we've lost Yvette.
Oh, sorry, did I cut out? Sorry.
Oh, there you are.
So I don't know what happened there. Something happened. Yeah. I don't know what happened. I just looked down and I just realised, oh, no one was saying anything.
That's all right. Did you hear what I said, Yvette?
No, I didn't hear. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I was just asked, did you hear the question? So the question was, how did you feel about getting your team together and kind of like stepping back and letting somebody else kind of take the reins a little bit? And the reason why I asked that was because I know that at some point in my business life, I'm going to have to do something similar. Maybe not as much as how many people you want to invite to your team. Mm-hmm. But my issue at the moment is I think I'm fearful of having so much that I can't handle it. But at the same time, trying to accept that I do need help, and that's going to come at some point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but also you got to be mindful as well. I mean, like, so I've been doing this 10 years this year, 2019 makes 10 years. So at a point, you've got to realise, you know, I'd like to think my health would always be perfect, but I'd like to think that, you know, if I didn't want to work, I had that choice rather than, I mean, I work from home anyway, or I'd go out and see clients. So I'm very flexible on that side. But on the long term, I'd like to think I can go to any place in the world and spend 3-6 months.
Yes.
And all work I need to do is like if my consultants need me or need some advice, I can quickly say yay, no, or what have you not. But it won't be a case that I'm tied to seeing people. So and that's how I see it. Because in long term, I can't keep up the numbers that I'm seeing long term. And you know, it may not be me that's ill, and maybe somebody else have to take care of. And so what happens is I'm thinking, well, long term, if that ever happens, I've got to be able to turn to have a team that can actually support me, you know, anyway. And if I see clients, then obviously I can make more money kind of from that too. But I should be, my financial position should be that my plan is to be getting about £3,000 to £5,000 a month from my team. I'm doing exactly what I'm doing, where I'm not really doing anything. I'm just using their income to actually sustain my life and my work-life balance.
Yeah.
So, but it's not giving away. It's about sharing. It's about empowering other people. And the loyalty will be that, you know, if you're a good leader and, you know, they recruit, they'll have the same benefits and the same rewards, and they look forward to that. You know, sooner or later, some people want it quicker. And some people, I've got people on my team to look at, I just want money for Christmas or, and that's fine too, but I've got about 6 different awards I've won. So I said, you can be an award winner as well, an international award winner. So, my plan is that so I've been at 10 years now. So I just have to build a team, second to none, and I just step back and I can go and travel or do what I want to do, and be happy that my team is running a business that will sustain them as well as myself and others as well, change other people's lives. So
I love that.
I don't see it as a threat. I don't see it as a threat. I see it as a long term. We all need help. We all need support. We all need guidance. It's just taking that time. But yeah, I just see them like little teddy bears out there doing a mini me out there doing their own thing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Would you also like to have a Sophia?
Hello.
Hi. How are you doing?
Okay. Nice to be on board. Sorry I'm here a bit late.
That's all right. No problem. So, I don't know. Did you just basically step in just now?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
About 3 minutes ago.
About 3 minutes ago. Okay. So, we're just talking about what you could change, or what's the one thing that you could do to change or alter. Is that from your end?
No, it's not from my end.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, so what one thing could you change, do, or alter that would have the greatest impact on your business? And we had a little chat with a couple of the team members earlier. So just wondering if you would like to answer that question or have a go at it.
Yeah, my view is trying to use technology much as you possibly can in the industry. There is softwares and apps and so on in every industry now, and if you can use as many of them to influence how you operate your business, which means that it gives you the flexibility to be more or less able to work anywhere in the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
Without being tied down to one place. Yes. Regardless of what work you do, that you have the opportunity to do so.
Yes.
Something that I created and implemented in my accountancy practice 4 years ago, where we do everything all cloud-based now. All our softwares read with each other, so you can operate more or less anywhere in the world. And everyone in the team, if you have a team, understand the same process. You all follow the same process, and you're not tied down. Because as they say, if you need to be in one place to do what you're doing, you don't actually have a business, you have a job.
Yes.
And you don't have the control. And the whole purpose of each of us starting to work for ourselves or create our own little businesses is to have control.
Yeah.
And if you can't choose where you want to work or what you want to do, then it's not a business, it's a job. So I looked into ways of implementing various softwares to help the processes of my business and be able to operate from anywhere. It took a few months to a year to put things together, but it's made a major impact. It's helped us to grow quicker. It's cut down on administration. It cut down on paperwork. And to try it out, I actually went traveling for 2 months with my son in 2017.
Oh.
And I was working in Australia. I was working in Singapore, and still collaborating with my staff back in England and with my clients. And I was able to operate wherever I am. Amazing. So that is, to me, that is the one thing that you could change, or alter in your business, that will have the greatest impact on your business life, is finding out what software, what apps there are in your industry, and investing in them to into the business.
Oh, that's fun. That's a great answer. I love it. I absolutely love it. And I think you're absolutely right. Technology is moving so fast, and if we don't keep up with it, we will get left behind. And it's also the basically not being scared of it, just going for it, and trying to pick up as much information as you can. I was trying to teach my older brother the other day just how to use, I think it was, he was confused with even emails, the differences between emails and websites, addresses, because he's been so far removed from that environment. He's not embraced that at all.
Yeah.
He's completely lost with it. And I think it's you know, it's so important that we keep up with this technology, because it is going really, really quickly. And like you say, you can have your work-life balance anywhere you want to. You can go to any country and you can still be earning money while you're sleeping.
Yeah, 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 definitely.
Thank
You know, so like I enjoy going to the office and chatting to the team and collaborating, but I don't have to do so.
You don't have to, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, because that's the other danger, isn't it? Is if you, I work for myself, you know, by myself a lot of the time, and one of the things that could, you know, the other danger is not having any communication or being around people and being sociable kind of lifestyle. But I guess you have to create that. You have to create that balance. What else do we have on here? Thank you, Sophia. That was really good. Thank you.
Can I ask a question? Sophia,
yes.
what software did you find most useful for making you efficient and streamlined?
For my my industry, because I'm in the accountancy profession, the software that I found very useful was is QuickBooks.
Oh yeah.
And QuickBooks itself have numerous apps that you can plug into it. So, for example, where we used to prepare our accounts to send to HMRC previously, maybe through Excel spreadsheet or another software, but because of the vast amount of plug-in apps that QuickBooks themselves have, by moving from Sage to them, we can use those apps. So we transferred from using doing accounts preparation on the desktop to another cloud software called TaxFiler. And TaxFiler again reads directly to HMRC.
I've heard of that.
So by using our TaxFiler, we can download all the clients' bookkeeping information onto TaxFiler directly. We can then prepare the accounts through there, make any changes, check any mistakes, all of those kind of things, and then we can feed it directly to HMRC straight away from TaxFiler. So no paperwork involved. You're less likely to make any mistakes, and you can do this anywhere. And also by putting all our clients on QuickBooks as well, and encouraging them to use it and showing them how to use it, it's made their lives a lot easier. It's cut back on us waiting for them to send us bags or shoe boxes of receipts. They could take care of, you know, send us any receipts or whatever on the go. So all our clients are really, really happy about what we've introduced them to. And also we look at what apps are available in our clients' industry. We treat clients as an individual. We look at what's available and we introduce them to apps and software that we feel will benefit their own business. So by sort of like improving our services and improving our clients' services for them, it goes hand in hand. That it makes their job easier, it makes our job easier. They're happy, we're happy.
In terms of CRM systems,
yeah,
do you use QuickBooks app for that, or do you have a separate system for that?
Yeah, we use Practice Flow.
Okay.
Again, there's lots of different ones out there that people could use depending on what they're looking for or what their budget is. But we use Practice Flow, which again reads directly to Companies House, read directly to our tax filer. So that's the CRM that we use.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sophia. Anyone else would like to have a go at answering this question? Hello, Colin. I think I just saw you join us. And Fran, welcome.
Hi, Dion, and hi, everyone. I'm just rushing around. Can you hear me?
Hello, Angela.
We can hear
Hi,
you, Angela.
everyone.
Hi.
I'm just packing my things, getting ready to go to the hospital, and I couldn't not listen in. But I'm going to say quickly, thanks, Dion. You're doing an amazing job. And Miles, again, thank you. Just a quick question, just a quick answer is about building the team. It's about, like tonight, here I am in this crisis, and yet, look, I could turn to any of you and know that your talents are there to step in. So for me, it's now continuing to look and build a team of people recognizing talent that will help to bring us on as a cooperative and do great things. So that's where I am.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, but enjoy the rest of the call. I'm going to try and listen in as long as I can, and then when the signal goes, I'll be gone. All right, but I'll be listening into the recording. All right.
All right.
So God bless everybody.
Thank
Take care. Bye.
Take care, Mara.
I know.
Bye.
Right. So, do we have anyone else who'd like to have a go at answering this question? Anyone at all? Oh, Colin. Could you unmute Colin for me, please?
He's muted himself.
Colin, can you unmute yourself?
Am I muted? Can you hear me
There
now?
you go. Yeah. Oh.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes.
Yeah, greetings everyone. Fantastic
Greetings.
contribution so far, very inspirational. Right, one of the things I think I would like to do currently is to develop my business to another level, because I've been working as a sole trader and being in team, we soon find out that there's no way you can be complacent and just simply be a sole trader. As Dion, you said earlier on, this case, it can be quite daunting allowing somebody in to your business to work on what you've developed. Okay, we can get a little bit possessive, I guess, of what is rightfully ours, what we've created, and we don't want anyone to bastardize it, kind of thing. But I think in order to grow, we do need to bring people in. I mean, I personally realize now that I was working on the idea that I am a specialist in what I do. I'm the only black man in Britain that does what I do. But you know what? I'm only going to live for X amount of years. So I would really like someone else to be able to step in and do the therapies that I do, the standard. So I'm trying to develop my business to a standard. Yeah, I've established myself as the therapist who gets people out of pain fast. I need someone else and others to perhaps to come in and work at the same standard which I'm crafting towards.
Yes.
But in order to make a real impact on my business, because you can only work on if you're working on the business, it's difficult to work in the business at the same time effectively. I think so. It's hard to come away. I find to come away and think, well, I'm going to work on the business today and have my strategies, and you have your set admin days and the days that you're going to have business development. But then it can, if clients come, because I have to pay the bills, I take the client regardless of what the day is on. If I can't, fit them in on a set period. But what I'm trying to say is that for me, my business to grow, I'm looking to develop an accelerator course. So really, it's designing courses, online courses that people can purchase. So if I design, and I say 12 courses today, put them online and people are purchasing them, they'll be there forever, basically.
Yes.
They'll be here from now till 2050 or whatever period for people to purchase, because it's about on gaining knowledge from the person who was deemed as. So I'm working towards an accelerator course where I can have that. It's about being able to go to bed at night and wake up in the morning and find out 25 people have just purchased my course. Yeah.
Yeah.
And in order to get the next level of their learning, they have to go and purchase another level of course. Nothing complicated, because we live in a fast-changing information digital environment where people, things are changing very quickly. So I'm not giving anything heavy for people, and just quick tips. So it can be for therapists or for people who just want to help the friends and family get out of pain quick.
Right.
And understand what pain is. So I'm looking to develop this course where, I can have some sicker income coming in. So I'll go to bed, go on holiday, and I know that my courses are being purchased. So for me, that's some form of insurance, I'm guessing.
That's fantastic. Can you just tell everybody here what it is you actually do? Because I don't think everyone knows exactly what you do.
All right. Okay. Well, I am a holistic therapist of 15 years. And an award-winning therapist of 2017 for therapist of color. And I specialize in getting people out of pain fast. But I do also do a whole range of different holistics, from acupressure, Indian head massage, reflexology, aromatherapy, Swedish body massage, and a few other modalities. That's it. That's what I do. But I have a center in Wolverhampton called Footprints Therapy Health and Wellbeing Center, which I opened 18 months ago. Before that, for about 8 years, I was based in a medical center. And before that, I was based in a hub. I was based in a medical center for 8 years. And before that, I was based in a homeopathic clinic for a couple of years and different places like that. But 18 months ago, I thought, you know what? It's time for me to step up and have my own place. And that's what I've done. It's only a small place, but I'm looking to grow it. A lot of different therapists want to work with me, from physiotherapists to counselors, etc. So I need a bigger place so I can house people. At the moment, I'm tentatively working towards that. You know what I mean? Because I do want to, like I said, I'm a sole trader, so I kind of looked at myself. But the business is growing on a level that, my reputation is growing, or there are people out there that just want access to be able to practice what they do. So I'm having to accommodate the changes in my life.
That's fantastic. And Colin, we've known each other for about 3 years, I think. Is that right? About 3 years?
Yeah, I reckon it's come up 4 years, possibly.
That's 4 years.
Yeah, well, I've been in team how long? I've been to 3 team events. So, the 4th one's coming, so,
Oh, wow. And I remember meeting you where you were at. And to see where you are now is just absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Because I remember having treatment with you in the little room.
Yes.
And now you have a big room, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm just so inspired by you. Well done to you.
It hasn't been easy. I mean, sometimes we have to step out of our comfort zone, really, and really find out what our power is. You know what I mean? And kind of work towards it, not try and shy away from growth and development. I mean, there's many of you guys here tonight who have done exactly that. 30-odd employees and so forth, and you've been going for, making some decent money, I'm guessing. You know what I mean? So we all have to step up and find out what our power is. And I'm just glad that I'm in team where we can have opportunities like this to hear how people are doing, or discuss where we're at as well, to inspire people. So there's a lot more for me to come. So I'm just taking it as it comes, basically.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Michelle.
Hello, can you hear me loud and clear?
Yay, we can hear you.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Did you have to dash to get here?
Sort of.
Oh.
I'll leave it at that.
Do you need a moment? Are you okay?
No, I'm fine. I'm currently running something that I call the 5-day challenge, and it's about improving relationship communication. And I post at 8 o'clock every night, and it's a live It's a live talk that I do, and then people respond and so forth. I'll talk about it a little bit later. But it's important for me to be on time because people were logged on waiting for me. So I was like, I'm going to get on it. So yeah, it's all good. It's all good. It's all great. It's all moving in the right direction.
Yeah. Oh, that's brilliant. I'm glad that you made it anyway on time and everything. So that ahead of time actually. So yeah, you're 5 minutes early. So would you like to answer this question, or would you like to just go straight in?
I think Michelle should answer this question.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure it's a Miles question, isn't it?
What one thing could you change, do, or alter that would have the greatest impact on your business life, Michelle?
Oh, that question. I love it. What one thing could I change, do, or alter that would have the greatest impact on my business life? That's a great question. I'm used to asking the questions, not answering them. Let me. What one thing could I change? No, can I answer that later? I have to think about that. That's a great question.
You want to phone a friend?
Yes. let me text a friend. How should I answer this question? No, I'm just kidding.
If I was going to answer that question,
Okay, Miles, what would that be?
I would say that I would have to have a system that enables me to accommodate business when it grows. So, for example, some time ago, I had more customers that I could handle comfortably. And I felt myself becoming overwhelmed because I had literally, I don't know, untold number of people. I think I had 100 people.
Wow.
And I'm literally, and they wanted to all talk to me about investing all at the same time. And it became difficult for me to communicate with that many people on a one-to-one. And so I said, okay, now there's got to be a group. And not only that, but because when things went wrong, for example, or they wanted additional support, because everyone was at a different standard. Right. And so one shoe or one model didn't fit everybody. And so for me to accommodate where they were at, I had to kind of alter it slightly differently. Well, long story short, I found it very difficult. Anyway, I got some help. And even with the help, I was then being asked, for example, here we go. Here's one thing that happened. I was told by a salesperson, I need to have a really great follow-up system that allows me to stay connected with all the clients and their needs as and when they were developing, right? Now, when he said those words to me, I had no idea what he's talking about because I did not come from a sales customer relations background. I came from an accounting background. And so had you said to me, develop something on a spreadsheet, I'm good. In fact, it makes it even worse. The accounting I was doing, we didn't even have clients. I was working for a company, do you know what I mean? Or for an organization. So I didn't even have customers. I was an employee. And so I had zero customer relations skill sets. And so when I was asked to do something, I had no idea how it even looked from the inside. I found myself thinking, how do I do this? And like I said, so what I learned is having a system that allows you, when you start to rapidly grow, so that you don't become overwhelmed in terms of usage of your time, etc. And also I was being asked to train people to do things I couldn't do, i.e. train salespeople. I don't sell. How am I going to train a salesperson if I can't sell myself? And so things like that I find challenging. And then when I did recruit salespeople, let me think. If there's any salespeople on this call, I apologize in advance for what I say next. But I found that salespeople like to exaggerate slightly, maybe the claims. I'm sorry. Embellish is another one. But they would say things, and when it comes to investing, you can't be careless in what you say because people are going to, have that expectation. So you can't be saying, yeah, man, come true. You can make 100 points every 5 minutes or 100% every 5 minutes. That's not really what I was delivering. And people would make ridiculous promises. And I didn't know they were making those promises until the client would come and say, yeah, the salesperson said, yeah, we can make, we can become millionaire by next week. So I'm in the program. And I'm thinking, exactly what did he say to you? And so I had those challenges because the salespeople were coming to me and I was expecting them to have their own sales scripts, have their own sales processes. And again, these are things I was unaware of. And then when I realized there was a problem, then I had to get on top of the problem and try to manage it. So that I found interesting. So what one thing could I do? The one thing I could do is to have a, it would be a mechanism that allowed the customer experience to be a nice, easy flow. So from when they come in, let's say they know nothing at all about investing, to the point where they get competent and they can trade without further assistance, that whole process needs to be smooth. And each time when they have trouble, they can actually get support without overwhelming just one person. That'd be me.
That's great.
I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I like that.
All
I
right.
mean, I think the answer to that for me would be succession planning on who would not necessarily replace me, but who else will be coming up the ranks behind me to do what I do. And one of the things I've already done, even though I'm not anywhere clear to that stage, is looked at building a team around me and identifying who else in the industry who either does life coaching or relationship coaching. The fewer relationship coaches and more life coaches that could become part of a bigger team that I will be building.
Mm-hmm.
So I've sort of looked at it from that point, but I haven't had that wonderful problem yet to have to solve how to take care of 100 people at the same time. So I haven't been in those shoes yet, but I'm always thinking about it. Every time I meet with somebody, or I work with somebody, or I network and I get to know somebody, I always identify them and think, how can I collaborate with this person so that once I've worked with them, I can see, you know, how they work and if they would be a good fit for the model that I have in place and for the style that I want to do for my clients.
Yes, that's great. Thank you, Michelle.
Sure.
Okay, so I think it's time to move on to the webinar, relationship communication. So over to you, Michelle.
Fantastic. Well, today's talk is relationship communication. And can you move to the next slide for me? Are you doing it, Maz, or am I doing it? Welcome and thank you everyone for attending and being patient and being ready and willing to listen to what I have to say. Let's talk a little bit more about me so you can know a little bit more about what I do. Next slide, please. So my name is Michelle Lowe and my company name is Joy Spot. My focus is on coaching, but I do other things that are within that realm, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about that. But regarding me, basically my parents are from Jamaica and I was born in London. But at 18, I moved to the States on my own and had a life there for over 20 years. I worked in investment banking, doing corporate event planning. And in about, I think it was 2011, I moved back to the UK. I was really stressed out with my job, unhappy with the marriage and the life that I had. And I just wanted to start fresh and do something different. So I moved back to the UK and I started freelancing. And during that time, I was exposed to coaching, but I didn't really know much about what it was. But I'd always had really great relationships, and I have and have had relationships for over 20, 30, and some for 40 years. And I seem to have this unique, what would I say, ability to maintain relationships from all over the world. I have friends in Brazil right now, friends in Australia, friends in the Caribbean, and so forth, that I maintain not only at Christmas and Easter or on a special occasion, but in general. And I don't mean on Facebook. I mean, I actually pick up the phone and call them and say, how you doing? What's going on? I make it a point to try and visit my friends throughout the year. So for example, I'm going to a wedding in Brazil in October. I'm going to a birthday party in July in Jamaica. And I just went to another birthday party in Germany 2 weeks ago. And these are all relationships that I've maintained. All of them I've had for a minimum of 15 years, actually, all of those relationships. So when becoming a coach was brought to my attention that someone thought I'd be great at, I didn't really quite get it. And then when I took a few classes, I thought, yeah, I like this concept, but I don't really know how that fits in with who I am and what I believe and what, you know, what my values are. And then I happened to actually learn a bit about Tony Robbins and started reading up more about relationship coaching. And I just thought, yeah, this is really me. This is what I love. This is what I like to do. So that's a little bit about how I sort of got into it. And I started my business, I would say, in 2014, 2015. I think it was 2015, I started becoming a coach and continuing my education. And as a coach, as most coaches will tell you, that if you're a coach, you're always being coached and you're always learning more so that you can share that and serve your customers well. So that's a little bit about me. Next slide, please. So what do I do? Well, I do one-to-one coaching. Some of it is online. Well, most of it is online, and I have clients all over the world. So I'm dealing with different time zones, which can be fun and challenging at the same time. I do some one-to-one face-to-face, but because we all live very different lives, we live in different cities, and we may work different schedules, it's often easier to do it online, either via Skype or Zoom. I do group coaching, and right now I'm doing what I mentioned before, a 5-day challenge. And it's a group coaching course for 5 days. I call it Improving Relationship Communication. And basically, I post a video every night for 5 nights, discussing a theme or a topic, giving some questions and ideas, and then asking people to do some homework. When they post the homework, I give responses and give them updates. And at the end of the week, we'll see who wants to step forward and be coached further. And some people may not, and some people will just be learning from it, and that's all right. That's great. I'm also an author. I've co-authored in 2 books that were both anthologies. And my 3rd book that I've almost completed, I hope to publish before the end of 2019. So stay tuned on that. And I also do vision board workshops and more things which we'll talk about. So when we move to my next slide, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what I'm going to cover today. And today's topic is called relationship communication. So we're going to cover your first relationship or relationships. How do you communicate? Your listening skills, communicating your needs, boundaries, that's a popular one, gratitude, and self-love. So let's start with the first topic, your first relationship. Next slide, please. So your first relationship is with your parents. More often than not, it will be with your mother and or father, or both, or another family member who may have raised you, your grandmother, a teacher, an aunt or a single parent or a teacher that maybe influenced you when you were growing up. And from them, you will learn all your basic emotional and coping tools from that perspective. So if you've had a great experience in your childhood, you'll find that you'll have a positive outlook on life. And if you were raised in a negative environment, well, it kind of goes without saying. Then when you go to school, you begin to be influenced by your teachers and your schoolmates. And in adolescence, probably by your friends. And as an adult, you'll improve these techniques when you bond in loving relationships. In the university or in further education and in your workplace, you'll also demonstrate how you relate to other people based on the way and based on your experiences growing up. So your perception of how a relationship works will be directly affected by these dynamics. Next one, please. So how do you communicate? This is a really, really big one. How do you communicate? And this is often misinterpreted and can cause a lot of confusion. So the first thing I'd like to look at is, are you an active listener or an observer? And what I mean by an active listener, are you somebody that really engages in what the person's saying by really listening intently and listening to what they're saying and thinking about, I want to hear the whole thing before I respond? Or if you're face to face, are you an observer? Are you looking at the body language? Are you looking at how the person's emphasizing the things that they're feeling pain about or unhappiness about? So are you an active listener or an observer? And what beliefs or ideas do you bring to the conversation or disagreement before it's already begun? Because I think many of you who are listening know what I'm talking about. There are often times you get into a discussion or disagreement and you've already come to the table with what you're going to answer before the conversation's even begun. You know what you're going to say, you know how you're going to answer it, you've got your point, you've got your section, you've got your station, and you're sticking to your point. And sometimes if we come from an open perspective, all right, I know what I want to say, but let me hear the other person out and see what they have to say. Maybe your answer might be tweaked or might be different based on actually really listening to what the other person is trying to convey to you. So number 3, move on to number 3, please. Do you deliver your message with empathy, coming from a place of love? Now, this is really, really important to me because I found in my experiences that when you deliver something from a place of love, the other person can't really be upset with you. They may not like what you have to say, but they can't be angry because you're not coming from a defensive perspective. You're not coming from a stance of, I know it all. You're not coming from anywhere other than, you know, this is how I feel and this is why I'm conveying this to you, because I'm hurt or I'm upset, or you said something that didn't sit well with me, but you're conveying it in a nice tone, in a tone that somebody's understanding how you're feeling. You're really giving empathy across. You're not just screaming at the other person and telling them what you think they should be feeling and thinking and what they should know. The only thing that you can deliver is where you're coming from. That's really important. Number 4, how do you feel when you're communicating? This is also really important. You know, if you're frustrated or anxious or angry or uncomfortable, this will all be transmitted directly to the person that's taking it on. So they might perceive you as being really upset and really frustrated because you're throwing your arms in the air, or you're screaming at the top of your voice, or even feel a bit threatened because of the way you're standing or your approach or the way you're leaning into the person. So before you communicate something that you're unhappy with, think about how you're feeling and try to bring that more to a neutral point. And it's not always easy because, you know, you walk in and you come in and the house is a mess for the 15th time. I'll give you an example. And you've complained and complained to whoever it is, your kids, your significant other, and you're just, I'm just so upset with you. This keeps happening. Well, they're already in defense mode. So they're going to come back with a defensive attitude. But perhaps if you came in and just said, you know what, I'm really, really unhappy with the way this is going. It feels like every time I come home, it looks like there's been total disregard for what I've done and the house is in a mess. I really, really need you guys to work with me because I work all day, I come home, I'm tired, and I really cannot deal with this mess again. Something along those lines are really good when you try to explain and communicate how you're feeling, what you feel, which is making you upset. And also why you're feeling that way. That's really, really important too. Next slide, please. This is really a nice one. And I think a lot of people struggle with this because what does my heart really yearn for? you know, what is the outcome I'm trying to achieve regarding the discussion or argument? Is it that you're just trying to win the argument because you always like to be right? Or are you really trying to convey something that upsets you in a way that the other person may not be aware of that they're doing? Because that's the other thing. Okay, if you've been married for 20 years, if you've been in a relationship or you're with the kids, they probably know what gives you a rise. They probably know what really irritates you. But are you conveying it in a way that they understand, again, that the reason for your upset is because you're trying to resolve something. You're trying to reach a certain outcome. So just think about it when you're thinking about having a discussion with somebody about something that upsets you. Just think about the outcome you'd really like to see at the end of the conversation. So don't focus so much on the dispute or the argument, but focus on where you'd like the solution to lie. What would you like the outcome to be? Next slide, please. So back to your listening skills. And I'm sure a few of you at home chuckling because most of us have really poor listening skills. I think we're all guilty at times of listening to someone, but halfway through it, you're on the fence and you're just perched like a tiger, just waiting for the opportunity to jump in and speak and say your piece. You just cut the person off because no, you've got it wrong. I got to tell you my piece. You just don't wait till the end of the sentence. And it's a really bad habit, but it's really difficult to quell. It's really difficult to change, and it really takes practice. So my question is, you may be listening. You may be hearing the person speak, but are you really listening? You know? Are you really listening to what the person's trying to convey? And are you really trying to conjure up an image of what they're saying in your head so that you can give the right answer because you've listened to the entire comment and you haven't jumped in and cut them off and cut off their trail of thought, and therefore they may not be able to deliver exactly what they were trying to convey to you. Next one, please. Thank you. Communicating your needs. This is one of my favorite ones. I have to ask you guys, have you ever communicated your needs in a relationship? For example, what are the things that you need to make you happy? I'm not talking about just the things that you want, but what are the things that you need? For some of it might be something like consistent sex. I need to have sex 3 or 4 times a week. For many of us, it may be financial support. I need my other person to bring X amount of money to the table because I need that financial support to help raise our family. Maybe it's, I need constant affection. I like to be loved and caressed and told that I'm beautiful, I'm wonderful. Or maybe I like someone to just acknowledge the things that I do and say thank you. What are your needs in a relationship? And this applies whether you're in a relationship now or you'd like to be in a relationship. All these things are really important, especially if you're not in one, because you get a chance to practice what you're going to preach when you move into a relationship. And for those of you that are already in a relationship, maybe there's some things here that you can use to tweak where you are and improve on what you'd like to have your relationship look like. So when I'm coaching people, I talk about the importance of discussing your non-negotiables when you embark on a new relationship. And I like to give people 3 non-negotiables. So you might ask, what's a non-negotiable? Well, these are 3 things that you absolutely cannot move on. These are 3 things that cannot change or cannot happen depending on what they are. And they are non-negotiable. That's it. It is what it is. And everything else is up for grabs. So everything else we can compromise on, we can discuss on, but for whatever the reasons are, these are the non-negotiables. And I think if you're clear in explaining them in the beginning and why you need them, because there's usually a why attached to the need, it's not just because. that will help the other person understand where you're coming from. So for example, when I met my current partner, my 3 non-negotiables with him were: 1, my mother comes first, because at the time she was very ill and I didn't have any space for any drama. I don't do drama anyway. I like to be the star, the leading star in my own show and my own drama. I don't need anybody else's drama. Number 2, I love to salsa. It is my reason for being some days. You know, it makes me so happy. It fulfills me. It's great exercise. It gives me a mental break. It's just, you know, you want to get me in a good mood, invite me out to salsa. Anything you want after that is all good. So I love salsa, and I didn't want to be in a relationship with somebody who had an issue with me going out dancing or doing the thing that I loved most. I wasn't willing to give that up. There were other things I was willing to negotiate on or give up, but not that. And the third thing was my best friend, who is a man that lives in New York. We've been friends for 22 years. He's an amazing new human being, has been by my side through thick and thin, and probably will always be in my life. And for me, it was really important that whoever I embarked on a relationship with embraced him the way I embraced him. And so one of the things I did to make it clear was, well, you have to meet him and you can be a judge for yourself of what a wonderful person this is and why you too would want him in your life as well as in my life. So those were my 3 non-negotiables. But remember, your non-negotiables will change as time goes on. Circumstances will change, and the non-negotiables will change too. So that's okay. Your non-negotiables today may be different. Sadly for me, my mum passed away, so that non-negotiable moved out. But of course, I found another one to move right in. So don't worry about that. You know, still have my 3. Next slide, please. So gratitude. The word thank you is such a beautiful thing. Thankfully, we live in England and most people are very comfortable with saying the word thank you. But you know what? A lot of times we're taken for granted. You know, your significant other, your kids, your family members, drive me here, drive me there, do this, do that for me. And sometimes buy me a nice gift at Christmas is lovely. Buy me a wonderful gift on Valentine's Day is wonderful too. But how about just the simple things, a little thank you? And saying and showing your appreciation in a meaningful way can go a really long way in a relationship. And it can be something really small. You know, a lot of things, people think that a thank you has to be big. Oh, I better take her on that trip that she wanted to go on this year, otherwise she'll be upset with me. Or, you know, I need to get her those Louis Vuitton shoes or whatever it is, you know. Maybe it's something just as small as, you know, I'm driving home and I know that she loves XYZ ice cream, or I know that he loves, I don't know, playing lotto. I'm going to pick up a lotto card for him. This is something really small, but showing a small way to show gratitude and show the person that you do love and care about them. And when you're showing gratitude, it's really important for the person to feel and know that you're being genuine. You know, are you really coming from the heart when you're doing what you're doing? Are you really trying to show the person that I care? I know with a lot of West Indian men, their attitude is, you know, I washed your car this week, so why are you happy? You know, aren't you thankful that I did that for you? I'm showing you that I love you. And that is great too. That's a wonderful thing to do. And the other person is appreciative, but maybe they need a little bit more icing on that cake. And how do you want to feel or be perceived? Right? When you're showing your gratitude, do you want the other person to just have that sort of, that feels so good. I feel so wonderful that this person did this for me. They really recognize what I did. You know, think about that when you're showing gratitude. It's really important. It's really nice. And remember, gratitude doesn't have to be shown only on birthdays and anniversaries, right? And it doesn't have to only be acts of service or gifts. When I say acts of service, doing things for someone that you believe will make them happy, like putting gas in your car or washing your car for you. that is an act of service, but it's not always the only thing that somebody will want to be shown as appreciation. Next slide, please. Boundaries. Boundaries, 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 boundaries. I have this dialogue at least once a week with one of my clients, because people complain all the time that they're doing something for everyone, but they're worn down, they feel like they complain, they never heard. And I always say to people, have you created boundaries? Because if you created boundaries, then you would protect and value your time. And you would protect your environment. When I say your environment, your space, you know, I just need a little time to do these things. So I'm asking you not to do this so I can do this for myself. So do you give yourself space to do the things for yourself so you're happy to help and serve others who are in need or depend on you? You know, do you make yourself whole? Do you do the things that will build you up and make you feel good? So then when you're doing for everybody else, you're not spent. You're not just running on empty and then become resentful because all you seem to do is burning the midnight oil, taking care of everybody else, but you haven't taken time to take care of yourself. Creating boundaries allows you to give yourself some self-love and some well-deserved downtime. And many of us complain, but we don't make the time. And that's a really important question. Why don't we make the time? You know, are you afraid of conflict? Is that why you don't want someone to tell you that you're not entitled to it? And sometimes conflict's great. You get to the answer of what the problems are. It doesn't have to be fiery conflict. Conflict can just be a dialogue. So it's really important to create boundaries and make sure that your time is valued and respected. But only you can create the boundaries. No one else can create them for you. That's a deep topic. We could spend an hour on it, but I won't. But that's just an overview of boundaries. So I mentioned in the previous slide, you know, making time for yourself. And I believe one of the most important things that you can give yourself is self-love. And self-love comes in many ways. And I was interviewed on a radio show the other day, and I talked about self-love and some of the things I do for myself. And I was said to be possibly narcissistic. And I laughed, but I said, you know, if I don't love myself, who will? And if I don't love myself the way I'd like to be loved, then why would anybody else love me the way I want to be loved? So let me talk a little bit about self-love. Some of the reasons people don't love themselves is because they don't feel worthy and they have limited belief systems. And this goes back to my first slide about the way you were raised and who you were raised by. If you were raised by a parent that always said, you know, turn out to be nothing, you know, oh, if you did this, you would be better at that. Oh, you always do that, so you're no good. I mean, if somebody tells you that enough times, wouldn't you believe it? I would. So that's an example of limited belief systems. Feeling worthy. You know, you believe that you don't deserve that time for yourself. You don't deserve to give yourself self-love because you've got so many other important things to do. But your body is your temple and your mind. They're all really important parts of who you are. And if you don't take care of them, guess what? You're no good to anybody else. So the question you should be asking yourself now is, do you believe you deserve love? And what do you do to love yourself? Because many of us struggle with that as well. And doing something for yourself could be anything as simple as yoga, some sport that you love to engage in, whether it's watching football, American football as well. Maybe you have a man cave and you like to have a little time out in that. That's all right. Because when you go away to the man cave, you solve all the problems of the world. How about a massage? Or a movie? A walk in nature? Or just sitting in a cafe, having a cup of coffee and watching as people go by. Going out to brunch with a friend, catching up with a conversation with an old mate that you haven't seen or spoken to in ages. All of these things are just taking time out to do something for yourself that you enjoy. So, can you honestly give and share love if you're not loving yourself? I think it's really, really important to answer that question. Because as I said before, if you don't do it for yourself, why should someone else do it for you? Now, if you've been touched by my presentation and you feel something, then that's great. And what I'm doing, I really love doing. And I love sharing my God-given talents. So when I'm coaching people, all I do is pull out what you really, all I do is pull out what you already know and possess within. And if you're able to reach down and dig deep and answer some of these questions honestly, you have the makings and the great potential to create or have a great relationship. Next slide, please. So how can you learn more about what I do now? Well, you could join my closed Facebook group that's called Meandering the Seasons of Relationships. In my Facebook group, I talk about tips and techniques of having better relationships. I share ideas. I write posts, and I have funny tips sometimes and all sorts of things. You'd have to join and see if you like it, but I think you will. I've got a nice following of about 125 people at the moment. So I'd love you to jump in and come on board. There's room for one more. And right now, my 5-day challenge that started yesterday about improving your relationship communication. I'm happy to send anyone the link if you'd like to join. It only started last night. So if you would like to join, it's not too late. It doesn't cost you anything. It's absolutely free. And you might walk away with some nuggets. And then coming up, I have a health and wellness networking event that I'm going to be hosting here in Leicester on Thursday, March 28th from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. And it will be an opportunity for people that are interested in health and wellness to meet people that are in that arena that can share what they do with you and hopefully help you. And I'll be advertising more about that and reaching out to those of you in our team community that may be on the health and wellness side of, on the business side of it. So more to come on that. Next slide, please. So what else can I offer you? Well, I mentioned it earlier. I do one-to-one coaching and I have different packages, and it's not all one size fits all. So some people may need my standard package, which is 3 months. And that would be a 1-hour coaching call once a week with pretty much full access to me by email, phone call, whatever you need. Some people may just need 2 or 3 sessions, depending on what their needs are. And some may need just 6 weeks. So I have a variety of packages. I also do online and group coaching, and I'll be rolling out in April my online program. So look out for that. It's an online course that will be for 6 weeks. And all of these things that I coach on are personal and business relationships. So don't worry if you don't feel like your love life needs help or that your current situation is not working. It's working perfectly fine, because it's not only about it's about platonic and non-platonic relationships. And I do vision board workshops. I will be co-delivering a vision board workshop in April, I believe it is, with a colleague of mine, and the next one will be in London, but hoping to do another one in the Midlands come late spring. And there are other things that I'm up to, as I mentioned, the networking. So I'm very busy trying to serve all my clients. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So how can you contact me or learn more about me? Well, as you know, my name's Michelle and my company is The Joy Spot. And you can reach me on email at michelle@joyspot.co.uk. Again, my email is Michelle, that's with 2 L's and 2 E's, @joyspot.co.uk. And you're also welcome to go onto my website and take a look at what I have to offer. And that's www.joyspot.co.uk. And I also have a contact page on there. So if you don't get a chance to email me tonight, feel free to go on the website and send me a message. And if you've got anything that you'd like to ask me, whether it's you may feel uncomfortable asking it in this forum, or it's just something you just want to, reach out and find out about, feel free to reach out and send me a message. I'll be happy to answer any questions. Last slide. Thank you for joining, everyone. That was my presentation. And I'm open to about 15 minutes of Q&A because I have a workshop I'm delivering in the morning for a private client, private organization. So I've got to review my notes. So please, any questions?
Oh, wow. Michelle, that was amazing. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you.
I really resonated with quite a lot of what you said there, especially when you're talking about communication with the children. Can you just give me that line again? Because I need that line. That line you said about when you come into your house and the first thing you want to do is just shout.
Yeah, it's a natural reaction, right? You've had a long day, you've worked hard, and you're probably only thinking about what you're going to eat next. The last thing you want to walk into is a kitchen that looks like World War III just broke out. And so your first reaction is frustration.
But that's before I even get in the house. Sometimes I'm already kind of like preempting that this is how it's going to be when I come into the house. So how do I? Anyway, carry on.
No, it is because you're already building up the anxiety, right? Oh God, when I go in, it's going to be like this. Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
I think some boundaries have to be put in place again. Things may be, not so sweet, a bit of tough love. Well, if you guys aren't going to clean up, then I'm not going to cook anymore. Or how would you feel like if you came down to make breakfast in the morning and the kitchen was a mess? How would you feel about that? Or sitting them down and having a conversation honestly about how it makes you feel. And it's not a screaming dialogue. It's just exactly, how you feel. Because I think when you're really honest and you come from your heart, they can see it in your eyes, they can see it in your body movements, your body language, I should say. They can really feel it. But when you're screaming, it's just, oh, his mum's screaming again. Same old story. Here we go again. Here we go. Yeah, mum, I didn't have time because I did this, all the excuses.
Yeah.
But I think it's really important to sit down and have that dialogue in an honest and loving way. And this is all about the communication, Guys, I've really got to get you to understand how I feel and really explain what you feel like, And I got through the door, I'm shaking with anger because I'm preempting what I'm going to come into. Is that fair on me? Do I deserve that? I take care of everything and I love you guys, but I'm not here to be treated like an old rag doll. Give them examples, illustrate how you feel with your hands and the gestures on your face and look on your face. If you feel really hurt, show that. Because I think part of it is putting up the brave face, like, yeah, well, I'm just going to tell them how it's going to be, and I'm the ruler of the house and that, because Well, yeah, that used to work with our parents, but it doesn't work with the next generation. You know, so communication is really important. And another thing,
you don't recommend. You
sorry,
don't recommend Flipper then.
sorry, another thing I wanted to mention that I didn't really get into is social media. While it's a great thing for all of us, it's a great tool, it's a killer in our relationships. And one of the things that we've started doing is slipping into communicating via WhatsApp, texting, whatever it is. And so that leaves you open to somebody misinterpreting your message based on the mood they're in when they read that message.
Yeah.
So it's really important to go back to basics and try and sit down and have that 1-to-1, 1-to-2, 1-to-3, whatever it is, and have that dialogue, because we don't do it as much anymore. We correspond and communicate via computer.
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
No, I was just making a joke saying you don't recommend the slipper anymore.
Well, I don't think that hurts, but I don't know how far that goes. I don't want anyone going to social services after having me say that. So I'm not going to endorse it. But I don't think that, it doesn't really work as much as it used to. But I think sometimes when they're small, it might help. But as I'm not a parent, I can't comment on that. So let me ignore what I just said. I don't know. That's a personal decision.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So we're opening up the floor to anybody else. If you want to ask a question, please raise your hand. If you're not sure how to do that, if you hover your mouse near the top of the screen, and you'll be able to click a button and you'll be able to see, I think, oh no, it's not there, is it? It's down the bottom on my screen. You can see how many people are on, and if you click on participants, you'll be able to bring up the participants box, and then you should see 2 buttons, mute me or raise hand, and you'll be able to raise your hand in that way. I hope that makes sense. And then Miles will unmute you, or perhaps, oh, there we go, Carmen.
Hi, Michelle.
Hi, Carmen.
Hi. That was a really interesting presentation, first of all, so thank you for that.
Thank you.
I just wanted to get your take on this one.
Yes.
In terms of communication, I know that you mentioned about your intention is really important. So when if somebody says something to you or does something that upsets you, and you want to communicate that to that person, it's about how you enter that conversation, and you need to kind of be coming from a calm place and from a grounded place. So if that's your intention and you approach the person from this really calm space and you communicate really calmly in a really grounded manner what your grievance is, and they shout and scream back at you, what's your take on that? Because obviously your intention is your intention, but you are not in control of how that person responds. So even though you might be coming from a place of love, that person may feel attacked just by the fact that you're challenging them. And I know that that is their stuff, and it's probably to do with their insecurities, but I just want to find out what your take is on that. So if somebody shouts and screams back at you, even when you're approaching them from a space of love?
That's a really, really great question, right? And a great point that you made, that a lot of the times when people do get angry or scream back, you may have touched a nerve that was true. So now they're on the defensive and maybe slightly embarrassed. So the screaming is a cover up for some of that. And some people, that's the only way they communicate. They don't really know how to communicate in a loving way, because that may be the example that they'd seen when they were growing up, that their parents screamed at each other. So that's what they know. But I think what's really important is, if you have someone screaming at you, the first thing to say is, I'm sorry, but I'm not sure why you're screaming at me. I'm just making a point, and I would really love you to answer it without screaming, because I can't hear you when you're screaming. And that's a good one, right? Because you're really not listening if someone's screaming at you. You're just building up your defense mechanism as well. So you can't, as you said, really importantly control how the other person delivers the response to the point you're making. But all you can do is try and stay calm and collected. And if the person is just screaming and carrying on, then it's time for you to pull back and sort of say, well, you know what, this conversation is not really going anywhere because all you're doing is screaming, and I'm not able to get through to you. So maybe when you're calmer, we can have another conversation about it. Or just ask them, what part of what I've said is offending you while you're responding in this manner? You know, just call them out on it and put it back in their lap. No, I don't understand why you're screaming at me. And what have I said that's offended you so much that you feel the need to scream at me? Because I'm not screaming at you. I'm just trying to ask you a question and get the answer, or present something to you and get your point of view.
Yeah.
Does that help?
Yeah, no, it does. It does. I just wanted to ask that because I've been in that situation quite a few times in my life. And I usually try and come from a calm space because that kind of is part of my character. Right. And it's happened on quite a few occasions that the person has come back with a totally different response than what I expected. So I like the point where you're saying, ask them why do you feel the need to scream and shout when I've not approached you in that manner? And I've just put it down to the fact that they've got stuff going on that might not have anything to do with you personally. 9 times out of 10, that's the case. Yeah.
And that's really important. Don't take on other people's stuff.
Mm.
In their lap. You know, if they've got an attitude, that's their attitude. It's not yours. You're coming from a place of love, and you can't control how they deal with the conversation. And another thing is to maybe ask somebody to restate what you asked them, because chances are they weren't listening. So they heard the first part, you really upset me when you, and then they're into it. Oh, I upset her. When did I upset her? Da-da-da. They haven't heard anything else that you've said. They haven't listened to the rest of the comments. They only heard the part that really aggrieved them. And now they're on the attack mode. Yeah. So sometimes it's just sort of, did you understand what I was asking you? Because I'm not sure if you got where I was coming from. Yeah. Another good way to sort of make sure that they heard what you were saying. Yeah. So I said earlier, people tend to cut you off and they only hear the part that they want to hear, and then they run into, crazy mode. Mm. So those are three approaches that I would recommend.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Does anybody else would like to ask any questions?
I saw Althea up and down in the background waving before, so I don't know.
Oh, was she? Okay. Althea, did you have a question? I don't think Althea can unmute.
No one else? I'm surprised. Colin, you don't have any questions?
Oh.
Here we go. Yvette, Gwen, lovely, great.
Is it okay for me to speak? Yes, can you hear me?
Who's that?
Yvette.
Hi, Yvette. Good evening.
Hi, Michelle. Thank you for the excellent presentation and dealing with communication and obviously relationships as well. My question to you is, it was lovely in the way you approached it and the solutions you've given. How do you deal with, starting with communication, the listening aspect? So when you're speaking to somebody and you've not quite finished off what you're saying, but you have the constant interruption, and you then, or myself, would lose my train of thought because they're constantly interrupting. Is it a habit? Is it a behaviour? I mean, it makes me quite frustrated because I've not quite finished what I've said. How do you deal with that so that you can actually get them to listen, and respectively, you've listened to them, but they're disrespectingly not listening to you?
Right. That's an important one. I find that it's really important to let the person finish cutting you off, let them ramble on, right? Mm-hmm. And when they're finished, I'll say, can I come back to the point I was making because you didn't let me finish?
Right.
I usually say that because what happens is they're not even aware that they're doing it, because that's how they communicate.
Correct.
Right? So they don't communicate by listening, they communicate by just speaking over other people, and sometimes bullying. That's a tactic of speaking over people. Well, I'm just going to bully my way into giving you my answers, so that will shut you up and you don't ask me anything else. That's one way why people do that. Another thing is, like I said to Carmen earlier, you know, they get on the defensive because they only heard the first part. They didn't listen to the rest of what you said, obviously, because they cut you off. And so they've on to a rampage about the part that they thought they heard, and they haven't heard the entire sentence or phrase or paragraph. So I usually, and I have this with a family member, so I'm talking from experience as well, but I see it a lot with people that I coach, that, you know, they get into these conversations and, as you said, they get cut off. And it's really important to bring the person right back to where you were, because you haven't let me finish. So basically what the other person's now rambling on is of no consequence at that point, because you haven't let me say what I have to say. And once I've said what I've had to say, then you can comment, because now you've heard everything that I've had to say. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes.
That's the best way, I would say.
So what you're saying is make sure that when you actually do respectively be able to get conversation in, is to say to them, so I've got the printer going, to say that let me going back to the point I was trying to make, so making sure that they know that each time you haven't finished your conversation.
Exactly. Or, you know, can you allow me to finish what I was saying? I'd really appreciate that.
Right, okay. And that's again coming from love and not fear, because sometimes it can be your superiors, it can be, you know, people of, you know, your peer group as well as. Okay, so that's good. So it's kind of a soft.
Exactly.
And gratitude as well. Okay, now that you've finished, it's now my, you know, if it's okay for me to finish what I was saying. Okay, so it's again taking the aspect of gratitude and love, rather than.
And also taking control of the conversation, because they're actually disrespecting you and grabbing your conversation and running with it. And what you do, take it back and take control of it. So you might, even if they ramble, if you see the rambling on for a while, right, you might just say, you know what, can I just stop you there? I'm really sorry, but I really need to stop you there, because you actually let me finish. And I really appreciate it if you let me finish my point I was making. Sometimes I write it down, because I know that a particular individual is going to cut me off. And like you said, you lose your trail of thought and you're like, oh, what was I trying to say? Because now they've jumped in. So if you have it written down, you can just glance back at it and say, so actually the point I was trying to make is, and then you can move forward with it.
Wonderful, wonderful. But it's coming from the point of not fear, but love all the time. It's like, you know, because it's like, so it's habit, what you're saying. It's sometimes it's not deliberate, it's just a bad habit. And what they do, they don't realise, they think speaking all the time gives power or make them look quite powerful, and probably cover up emotions as well as. So pulling it back, obviously not to make them vulnerable. Okay, I like that.
Yeah, and I think it's always in your tonality. It's really important. If you start a conversation with a raised voice, well, guess what? The other person's going to jump in with a raised voice. If you start with a calm voice, like Carmen said, and they're raising your voice, you know, you can apply the same principle. I'm not sure why you're shouting at me. I'm not shouting at you. I'm just trying to convey a message. And if you let me finish, I can make the point I was trying to make. I find that when you're calm, it actually unnerves people even more sometimes.
Yes.
You know, because they want you to be riled up, because they're riled up. And you have to remember, you don't know what they're bringing to the table when they're riled up. So you don't know what situation they just came from, or especially in the workplace. You know, a lot of bullies in the workplace come to work to act out because they can't act out at home, or they're being bullied at home. So they bring it to the workplace and act it out on everybody else.
Correct.
I hope that answers your question.
It does. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Gwen's got her hand up.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Oh, thank you, Michelle. That was an excellent presentation, because there's so many little nuggets that came up. And I really like the 3 negotiables.
Non-negotiables.
Non-negotiables. That's it. I
That's
really
right.
like that because it's kind of made me think, oh, you know, when I get into a relationship, you know, what is it that would be the non-negotiables for me? It's not something I've really thought about. I might have unconsciously had something like that at the back of my mind, but I just like that it's been brought to my awareness to kind of, yeah, really think about. So thank you for that.
Yeah, it's really important. For me, I think that you really shouldn't even embark on a relationship. I mean, you know, you'll date a little bit and then you get to know somebody, but then when you think that this is going somewhere, it's really, really important to express your needs, but also express the things that are non-negotiables, because what you'll find is if you don't do that, you start losing a part of yourself, and you embark on a relationship where the person that was fun and happy and loving starts to become resentful down the road because that thing that they love that is maybe part of their self-love or self-worth or something that just makes them happy, they've given up to be in a relationship with somebody else. And so now they're feeling resentful because now I can't do that one thing that I used to love to do because you need me to do this, or you need, you know, all these resentful things come up. So it's really important to state those things. And I think 3 is a good number. More than that then becomes, well, it's my way or no way. And as I stated with the non-negotiables, if you can attach a reason to it, then sometimes that translates even better. It's not just it's in my example, I need to go salsa dancing because that's what I like. No, for me, I love salsa dancing because it gives me freedom to think. I release my endorphins. I'm really happy, and you get to benefit from all of that. So it's a win-win, you know? And so if you think about it from that perspective, it's really helpful.
But I guess it'll be the same for, you know, my partner as well. They, you know, to take on board, you know, the non-negotiables that they might bring as well.
Absolutely. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm sorry maybe I wasn't clear on that, but the non-negotiables go both ways. So for example, when I first got into my current relationship, I asked my partner, you know, what do you need in a relationship? And he just looked at me with a blank face, like, what do you mean, what do I need? I need to be in a relationship. I was like, well, you may not know what you need, but I know what I need. And I listed what I needed. And that gave him something to think about. He was like, oh, I never thought about it like that. But that's okay. Think about it and come back to me with what the things are that you need. So I can make sure that I can meet his expectations realistically, and he's not expecting something that I can't or I'm not willing to deliver. So non-negotiables and needs kind of go hand in hand. But great question.
Thank you.
Thank you for asking.
Brilliant, thank you. That was a question I had as well. I love the 3 non-negotiables, and I wish I'd known about this a lot sooner.
It's never too late. It's never too late.
Yes. Has anybody else got any questions? Oh, Colin. Can you unmute, Colin, or do you need? Okay.
Yeah, Colin's unmuted. He needs to unmute himself.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm unmuted now. I was trying to unmute, but somebody kept putting me back on mute. So, yes, my question to you, Michelle. Oh, thank you very much for the heavy discussion tonight and presentation. It's, you know, obviously touched a lot of people. One of the questions I wanted to ask, I was looking at the website. There's a bit of a profile.
One of the questions. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Sorry, I was saying one of the questions I'm going to ask is just about something I read on your website about you. It's like a profile. So I'm asking a question.
Okay.
Divorce. How easy do people? How easy was it for you to bounce back from a 30-year marriage and become who you are, reinvent yourself basically? How was that for you? What was the transition like?
Great question. I would be lying if I said it was easy, because it wasn't easy. It was really difficult. But what was really important for those of you who haven't read that was that I found myself feeling really invisible in a marriage that I'd been part of for 11 years. We were together for 11 years in total.
Okay.
And I didn't have any non-negotiables in place. So I was constantly just losing a part of me, losing a part of my soul, losing a part of my spirit. And so before the divorce happened, because I think we were separated about 2 or 3 years before I actually filed the divorce, just because I just didn't have the money to do it, and he would never have done it because it's just lazy, wouldn't have been bothered. So I had to spend time getting to know myself again. And I had to literally reintroduce to myself the things that made me happy. So some of the things that made me happy was actually, and some of them I mentioned there, you know, going to the movies by myself. I actually love doing that. I don't have to agree with anybody what time, what show. I just get up and go and see my movie. You know, dancing, I'd given that up. And I've been dancing salsa for about 30 years. And I'd given that up for probably the last 5 years of the marriage. And it was one of the things that made me really, really happy. So I had to take a step back. And I don't know if I actually reinvented myself. I just think I got in touch with myself again. So I started to meditate. I only really started to become good at it the last couple of years, but I started to learn how to meditate. I started reading more. And I started just really asking myself the tough questions. You know, what went wrong? What could I have done differently? And what things could I not be sure not to carry into the next relationship that didn't work or didn't serve me well in that relationship, so that it wouldn't not just block the blessing of the new relationship, but that I wouldn't put that onto the next person, because I think we often do that. We bring into the relationship our luggage, right? So I love to give this analogy. Some of us come in with a briefcase and some of us come in with a trunk, you know? And it's really important. I mean, we all bring stuff into a relationship, but it's really lovely if you can bring a briefcase and not bring a trunk. So
be jettisoned along the way.
Yeah. And you're just sort of already compromising the relationship, right? You're already throwing onto this other person your stuff that they don't deserve. Because when you enter a new relationship, you're supposed to be starting on a clean slate. It's fair to bring up what issues you've had and sort of say, you know, these are some of the issues I had in my last relationship and I really don't want to repeat them in this relationship. That's one thing. But to bring them into the relationship and then start judging the new person based on your old standards isn't fair. So to answer your question, I wouldn't say I reinvented myself, but I just got in touch with myself and learned to love myself again the way I once did.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So there's a lot of self-healing that went on this, especially with the meditation and the valuation of your own self, you know, like doing things that please you, you know, going to the cinema or doing your salsa, you know, giving those things value and weight to say, look, this is me, this is part of me. I'm going to continue with that or regain that. That's really good. Thanks for that.
Thank you for asking that. And just in terms of values, I mean, I didn't really go into it in this call, but it's something that I talk about a lot when I'm coaching. And if any of you decide to join my 5-day challenge, I think I'm discussing that tonight, actually. But it's really important because if your values are in place, no one can rock that. No one can rock that. They can challenge it, they can shake it, but if your values are rooted like a tree, all you do is waver and move around, but you can't fall down. You can't, because your values are rooted. So that's another important thing on the self-discovery, going back to what things that you value most in yourself and in a relationship. Hope that answered your question, Colin.
Right, it's now almost 10 to 10. Michelle, are you okay to keep going? Got one more question? Or?
Yeah, one more would be good.
Yeah, okay. And that's Eleanor. Is it Eleanor? I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly.
Hi there. Yeah, just again, thank you very much for your presentation. It was very useful. I do have a question. Historically, when I worked for a company, I travelled around the world and I met lots of people, and it was quite easy, I would think, to get into both personal and platonic relationships.
Mm.
Since leaving work and becoming self-sufficient, I'm now in a situation where I'm isolated, in that I'm not meeting people on a daily basis. I go to London once a week, see my parents, but I don't really meet anybody. And I find my sibling, who's on this call, is in a similar situation, in that we don't really socialize as such. So in terms of, I mean, I understand that you've now met somebody new. I don't know if that's through work, but if you're not working, or if you're in a self-employed situation where you don't really meet people face to face,
Right.
would you recommend social media for, you know, the online dating? Or, I mean, what would you, how do you meet people, and how would you meet the right one? Because I find that, well, obviously things like Tinder is not going to be of any use at all, but I mean, are there social media sites or dating websites that you would recommend, or is there some other way that you would recommend meeting people?
Great. So those are all great questions, and I have lived all of them, so I can probably answer them really frankly. So online dating, I think, is great, but it's not for everyone. And I think you shouldn't knock it until you tried it. I've heard a lot of people, oh, I wouldn't want to meet somebody online. I don't know if they're teeth or whatever, you know. I hear all that.
Yeah. I mean, it's not on my top 10 list, to be honest.
No, and it's not, but you can't knock it until you tried it. You know, the old expression, you might have to kiss a few frogs till you find your prince. That might be the case. I definitely dated a few frogs, actually toads, to be honest. But that's
well, I've had enough of
another
those
day. But I also met some really nice people, and I dated some really lovely men, but they weren't quite what I was actually looking for.
Is this through online you're talking about?
Online dating.
Wow. Okay.
I did do online dating for quite a few years. So I just happened to be in a really good place and be really in touch with myself, and manifested my partner. And that's also another conversation for another day. But I met him in Cuba, and I had literally prayed and, you know, asked to meet the man of my dreams, and I was really specific about what I was looking for and what I wanted. But I think the thing that I asked for that was most important, or the thing that I stated that was most important, was that I was really ready to receive this person, because I really was. You know, I'd done all the other things that I needed to do. I'd sealed up and closed up the other things. I was no longer involved in any peripheral relationships. I didn't have a lover anymore. I didn't have any of these other things going on. I was just really ready to receive somebody. I wanted to love someone and give them love, and I wanted to receive what I was given. So I think because I was open to it, I know because I was open and ready to receive it, it came to me. And a lot of times when we say we want a relationship, we're not necessarily ready to receive the relationship. We say we're ready because we're lonely, but are we really ready to receive someone in that space? Are you willing to share your space and not be territorial? So that's one thing. So I don't knock online dating. I think it's good. I met someone just this week that met her husband online. So and her best friend met her husband online. So, you know, you never know. Other ways, well, I think networking is really great, especially as I work from home as well. So networking in a business capacity, yeah, you're not necessarily looking for somebody when you're doing business, but
no, that's sorry, excuse me. That's my point. That I was in business, and I closed my business down in 2010 because I no longer needed to earn money in that way, and
nice.
I now just have residual income that takes care of my life. But in shutting down the business, I'm saying that I'm now at home. I'm in a situation where I retired early.
Yes.
and I do find things to do around the home, but I'm on my own for 5 days a week.
I understand that. So the other thing that I did, because when I moved to, I live in Leicester now, but I lived in New York and then I lived in London. And one of the things that I struggled with when I moved here was I really didn't know anyone. You know, my mother lived here. I never lived in Leicester. You know, I was a big city girl, and I was like, how on earth am I going to meet anybody here? You know, I just didn't think I had anything in common, and I felt like a fish out of water. So a couple of things that I did was I went to the things that I loved the most. And again, it was salsa.
Right.
So I went out and found a few salsa parties, and I joined, and I started actually going to salsa classes, not because I needed them, but I knew that that would be a more intimate group where I could meet people. And it was quite funny because there were a lot of people there that were couples. And when I showed up, it was like, uh-oh, here comes a piranha. Uh-oh. Don't hold on to my man, you know, go hold on to my man for dear life. And I was just kind of like, you know, relax, ladies. I'm not trying to take your man. I'm just trying to make some friends. And, you know, so I befriended the women, and then gradually those barriers came down, and then the men became friendlier, and, you know, I got to know people. So that was one thing. Going to meetups are a great place to join people. You know, what are your interests? What are some of the things that you love to do, Eleanor? Is it Elena?
Oh, is that a question?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay. I'm quite active. I belong to a tennis club and squash.
Great.
And I do Spanish, and I travel to Spain quite often and go to school there to study Spanish.
Fantástico. Necesitamos hablar en español.
Sí.
I speak Spanish. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, whilst I'm here, it's just me. I can't even say it's me and the dog. It's just me.
So are there any Spanish groups on Meetup that, where are you based, by the way? Sorry.
Oxford.
Oxford. Oh, yeah. But I think there's a Spanish community there. But, you know, that's the other thing. You know, are there any Spanish meetup groups that maybe Spanish cinema or Spanish dinners or things like that? I mean,
Well, the last time I was in Spain, that's exactly what they told me to do, to meet up with a group of, they call it intercambio.
Yes.
So to meet up with some people who want to exchange English for Spanish.
Right.
I did that in Spain, but I ended up meeting up with 28-year-olds who were interested, and
yeah, they would be quite young in Spain. Yeah.
Well, and I'm not dating anybody younger than my nephew.
Don't knock it till you try it. Anyway.
No, thank you.
No, seriously though, I think that meetups are the way to go. There's also, I know, a great organization in Spain of Black women that are based there that connect and do lots of great events. So I'll connect you with that offline. If you shoot me an email, I'll give you that information. But I would say, you know, if there's I mean, if you do a lot of sports, I'm surprised you're not meeting people in that environment.
I'm not saying that I'm not meeting people.
Oh, not anybody that you want to meet.
Yeah. I mean, squash is predominantly male. A lot of those guys are already married with families. And the ones that aren't, I'm not interested in.
Right. Well, I would love to find out more about what you're looking for. But maybe what we could do, and I offer this to everyone, by the way, I offer a 45-minute discovery session where we can talk for about 45 minutes. It's no charge, just to see a little bit more about what you're looking for, because there may be some other things that I want to ask you that you may not want to divulge on this call that will help me, you know, really hone in on what you're really looking for. Because sometimes what we're looking for is interesting in itself. I'll leave it at that when I say that. So please reach out to me and I'll let you know. Or I'll get your details either way, Eleanor.
Yeah, okay.
Eleanor or Elena?
It's actually my middle name. It's Elena, and I use that in Spain.
Okay.
Over here, It's Beverly.
Oh, Beverly. All right. Okay, my dear. Thank you so much.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, pleasure to speak with you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you again, Michelle. That was a fantastic, fantastic presentation. And I'm sure all of us will agree that that was absolutely excellent. So thank you so much for that. Okay, so just to remind you all, I hope you're all coming to Team Day, because I'd love to meet some of you. Some of you, obviously, I know and I've met, but I'd love to meet the rest of you. So I hope you're all coming to Team Day. So please, if you're still unsure, make up your mind and just come. It's going to be a fantastic day during the day, and the evening as well is always just as nice. So make sure you get your tickets to the rooms and so on and so forth. Please join us again from next week, Tuesday. We have a conference, we have a call with another team member from Legacy Gardens. She'll be joining us next Tuesday. I will put a flyer out, but the name escapes me now. And that's at 8 o'clock next Tuesday. And if anyone else is interested in doing a webinar similar to Michelle's, then please let Angela know, and we can get you talking about what it is you do or what your interest is. That'd be fantastic. So thank you very much, everybody. And thank you, Miles, for clicking the button.
And you're most welcome.
Oh, thank you. All right, I think that's it then. We should call it a wrap.
Good night, everyone. And Dion, can I just say for the record?
Yes.
You were absolutely fantastic. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right then.
All right.
Good night.
Good night.